Exposed. A soldier's incredible journey after discovering his daughter's touching birthday truth. Jake Thompson stood at the edge of Main Street, a ghost of the man he once was. The colorful banners of the town's annual birthday festival fluttered in the wind like the mocking voices of his past. He had returned home after multiple tours overseas, a decorated Army veteran burdened by the weight of his memories. PTSD wrapped around him like a tight jacket, making it hard to breathe. He looked at the familiar sights, the diner he used to sit in with Lily, the park where they played but they felt foreign now. He was no longer the laughing father. He lived in a constant state of guilt, working relentlessly at the factory by day and the local diner by night, just to support his estranged daughter, Lily, who was miles away living with her grandmother, Ruth. Ruth's fierce protectiveness over Lily kept them apart. "My little girl can't be around you, Jake. You might hurt her," she warned. The words haunted him. As Lily's birthday approached, Jake felt the tightening of regret in his chest. He had missed years of her life. He was barely a figure in even her happiest memories, like a shadow on the wall. Then, one day, while cleaning out an old box in the attic, he stumbled upon a letter. It was from Lily, written in her playful scrawl, and it shattered him. "Dear Dad," it read, "I wish you could be here. School is hard, and I just want to share ice cream and have movie nights again. I miss you. Love, Lily." Each word hit him like a punch. Tears stung his eyes as he clutched the paper, desperate to hide his regrets yet longing for the connection they once had. Before he knew it, he was filled with determination. He envisioned an elaborate surprise birthday celebration for her. A potluck with dishes from the community, games in the park, and karaoke where she could shine, even in front of her friends. He could feel his heart pounding with hope. This was his chance to show her he cared. But in a twist of fate, just days before the celebration, Ruth dropped a bombshell. "Jake, listen. Lily, she has been struggling because of you. She is afraid of what you might do, taking all these pills, battling your demons." Guilt twisted around him like a vice. Could he really bridge the gap? Did he deserve a second chance? As the days crept closer, whispers filled the town. Could a veteran battling his own battles ever be a decent father? Jake often ran his hands through his hair in frustration, wrestling with the shame of his past. And then came the moment he dreaded. Lily confronted him, her eyes wide with worry. "Dad, I can feel you're different. What's wrong?" Her voice cracked against the backdrop of laughter and joy echoed around them. The explosive emotions between them flared. Would love and commitment be enough to mend their fractured bond? Jake felt the weight of the world on his shoulders that night. As Lily's birthday loomed closer, he stood at a crossroads, his heart aching, nervous and uncertain. Could he truly be the father she needed? As the sun began to set, he realized that it was now or never. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. With every moment that passed, Jake felt a flicker of hope igniting in the dark corners of his heart. He wondered if he could rise to the occasion, to break free from the chains of his regrets. Surrounded by the festival's vibrant atmosphere, he decided then and there to confront his own fears. Would he find the strength to reclaim his place in Lily's life? As her friends gathered to celebrate, Jake braced himself. Today could change everything. The sun cast a warm glow over Main Street as the birthday festival surged to life around Jake. He could hear laughter mingling with music, the joyful sounds wrapping around him like an embrace. Yet he remained frozen for a moment, engulfed in uncertainty. The decorations, bright and alive, seemed to taunt him with memories of happier times he had missed. With each breath, he felt the weight of expectation pressing down. Today was about Lily. It had to be perfect. He glanced at the park, where the picnic tables were already adorned with vibrant tablecloths. Children dashed back and forth, their carefree excitement a sharp contrast to the fear settling in Jake's stomach. He wasn't sure if he was ready. Would she even want him there? Gathering his courage, he moved toward the gathering, heart racing. The faint scent of barbecue wafted through the air. Memories of family picnics flooded back smiles. Laughter. Lily's giggles as she chased Bubbles. They seemed so far away, but Jake held tight to the thought that today might stitch together the torn fabric of their relationship as he joined the crowd. He caught sight of Ruth hovering near the food, her eyes scanning the gathering with a protective posture, like a lioness defending her cub. A glance shared between them told him everything he needed to know. Ruth didn't trust him, and that uncertainty hung heavily in the air. Lily arrived a moment later, laughing with her friends, her face alight with joy. The sight pierced through Jake, filling him with both love and dread. What would he say? How would he approach her? He took a deep breath, his palms clammy as he noticed her dark eyes sparkling with life. Just like that letter from the attic, she was all he could think about. In that moment, she caught his eye, her laughter fading as her gaze locked onto him. Jake couldn't look away. "Dad?" The soft tremor in her voice cut through the noise. The joyous atmosphere stilled, leaving a haunting silence that felt heavy with anticipation. Jake's throat tight, he stepped closer. He could see the mixture of emotions playing across her face: fear, confusion, longing. I wanted to surprise you," he finally managed to say, voice cracking. He was painfully aware of the eyes on him, the judgment lingering in the air. "Oh," she whispered, a hint of hope flickering in her eyes. "You came." In that brief moment, everything felt possible. Her small smile ignited something inside him, a promise of redemption, of healing, of a chance. But as he opened his mouth to speak again, the familiar weight of doubt slammed against him. Would she really be okay with him? Can I help with anything?" he asked, desperately searching for the right words, for a bridge he could build between them amid the thrumming festival sounds echoing around. "Yeah, there's a game booth. I can show you," she replied, her voice warming slightly, even as trepidation lingered beneath the surface. But before he could respond, Ruth stepped forward, her protective instinct surging. "Lily, why don't you go play with your friends? I'll talk to your dad." "Mom, I want to know," Ruth interrupted, her voice firm yet not unkind. "Go enjoy your party." The divide was palpable as Jake felt the tiny shred of hope slip away. He could see the conflict in Lily's eyes, but before he could say anything, she turned and walked toward her friends. The laughter around them came rushing back, mocking him as he stood there, isolated with his fear. "Jake," Ruth began, her tone softer, "this isn't just about you. You have to prove you're committed to her and to your own recovery." His heart sank. Was he really that broken? Could he ever be the father she deserved? As he stood there, lost in thought, the festival around him continued, vibrant and alive, yet he felt trapped in a haze of uncertainty. Jake took a shuddering breath, his eyes fixed on Lily, who was laughing with her friends. In that moment, he vowed to fight, he would prove himself. But as he looked back at Ruth, an unsettling question loomed in his mind. What if his journey for redemption was just beginning, and would he have the strength to chase the demons that had haunted him for so long? With those thoughts swirling, he felt a wave of determination blending with fear. This birthday could become more if he only found the right path forward. What would it take for him to truly step back into her life? The answer felt impossibly far away as the festival continued to pulse around him. Jake watched as the laughter erupted around the festival, colors swirling like his thoughts, a chaotic blend of hope and despair. He could still see Lily, a vibrant flash of joy against the backdrop of children running, ice cream cones dripping, and balloons that danced in the gentle breeze. But for him, the sweet melody of celebration felt more like a haunting refrain, reminding him of the years lost. "Hey," Ruth's voice pulled him back. "You need to focus." He nodded, trying to shake off the weight of doubt. "I know I need to talk to her." Ruth studied him for a moment. "Just don't push too hard." She's still adjusting. He appreciated the concern in her eyes but felt the churning frustration bubble inside him. He wanted Lily to know that he was here, that he cared, But how could he bridge this chasm that separated them? Each moment felt precious yet heavy, and he could feel the clock ticking as the festival rolled on us. The afternoon sun warmed his back. Jake spotted Lily at one of the game booths, trying to hit a stack of cans with a baseball. Her friends cheered her on, but he noticed the slight hesitation, the way she glanced over her shoulder, scanning for Ruth's approval. Each glance pinned him in place, a mix of guilt and longing. He forced himself to take a step forward, the soft grass beneath his feet grounding him. There was still time. Maybe if he approached her now, when the laughter was the loudest and the pressure was minimal, he could break through the tension. "Hey, kiddo," he called, his voice steady despite the storm churning inside. Lily turned, eyes wide. "Dad?" The hope he saw ignited something within him like a flame catching on a breeze. Can we throw the ball together? Just for a bit?" Her smile faltered and then flickered back. "Okay." He walked closer, the space between them feeling both vast and instantly narrowed by a shared smile. That first throw was tentative, and as she caught the ball, her laughter rang clear, bouncing back off the booths that now felt like they were bursting with joy rather than judgment. "Nice job," he cheered, the excitement in his voice surprising him. She beamed, her laughter brightening the small area around them. "Do you want to try? I'm really good at this game." Jake felt a warmth spreading in his chest. This was a moment, a spark of connection. He threw the ball not just to play but as an offering, an olive branch to signify that he wanted to try to reconnect. Every throw back and forth acted like a fragile thread, cautiously weaving the frayed pieces of their relationship together. He couldn't help but notice Ruth watching from a distance. Her arms crossed but her expression slightly softened. Maybe, just maybe, he was earning a bit of trust back. "Dad, can we have ice cream after this?" Lily asked, her voice laced with youthful excitement. Of course. The words tasted sweeter than any treat, a promise that brought a grin to his face. "Choco chip? Or maybe mint brownie?" "Both," she squealed, eyes sparkling. Jake marveled at that, how simple things like ice cream could be the glue binding hearts together. He was beginning to believe that perhaps he could be the father Lily deserved. Yet, just as that hope blossomed, uncertainty crept back, haunting his thoughts. Would this day truly mark a fresh start? What if he stumbled again? What if he couldn't keep the promises swirling in the air? Suddenly, a loud cheer erupted behind them, jolting Jake from his inner turmoil. A little girl had just won a giant stuffed animal, and as her mother scooped her up, laughter erupted. The beautiful moment felt charged, reminding him that amid these small joys, Lily needed stability, a solid presence. Just then, Ruth stepped closer, her eyes narrowed slightly. "Jake, don't think this is enough." His heart sank. "I know I want to do better. I just make sure you do," she interrupted gently, but the intensity in her voice resonated. As her words settled in, he stiffened. Ruth's protective instincts were as fierce as ever, which only cranked up the pressure. Could he truly prove himself, or was this fleeting connection merely a smokescreen? Jake's mind raced. Encouraged, yet so much was still on the line. It was as if he were standing at the edge of a vast ocean, waves crashing all around, each one carrying a decision that could either drown him or wash him ashore. Fighting to maintain composure, he looked at Lily, basking in the joy of the moment, and realized he wouldn't let this chance slip away. Would he find the strength to become that dependable father? Or would the currents drag him back to despair? The festival continued to pulse with life around him, each laugh and cheer a challenge and an invitation. As he weighed his next steps, he felt everything shifting. What was the key that would open the door to a future shared together? In that moment, he knew the journey had only just begun. Jake felt the weight of Ruth's gaze on him, piercing yet protective, like an anchor tethering him to the moment. Her warning loomed over him, a reminder of the stakes involved. But the laughter swirling around them pulled him back, a sweet distraction that made him almost forget his fears. He glanced at Lily, her face lit up with delight as she tossed the baseball back to him, her bright hair catching the afternoon sun like a beacon. "Dad, your turn," she urged, her voice ringing like a bell. The joy in her expression sparked something deep within him, a flicker of hope that maybe this day would be different. He squared his shoulders, narrowed his focus, and prepared to throw. He threw the ball high, letting it sail through the air before it landed perfectly in her waiting hands. "Whoa, nice!" she cheered, her laughter bubbling over. In that split second, all that mattered was the connection they shared. He felt that weight lift, if only a little, and caught on the rush of her laughter. But beneath the surface, tension simmered. He struggled not to let doubt creep back in. Every bounce of the ball reflected his uncertainties, and despite the sweetness of the moment, he felt an ominous cloud hanging over them. Could he maintain this fragile happiness? "Hey, Lily," he ventured cautiously, choosing his words like he was walking a tightrope. "What do you think about spending more time together? Just us?" Her brows knitted together for a brief moment before her face broke into a bright smile. "Like on the weekends? You mean it?" "Yeah. Just you and me. We'll figure out fun stuff to do," he said, his voice steady through the tremor of excitement cascading down his spine. "Like going to the park? Or catching fireflies?" She threw ideas at him, her enthusiasm infectious, and Jake felt a warmth swell in his chest. It was a glimpse of everything he wanted to build, to nurture. "Yes, exactly those things." He grinned, the corners of his mouth stretching wider as he locked eyes with her. "We can start with ice cream if you want." Lily's laughter echoed like music, innocent and sweet, causing Jake to almost forget the weight of their past. For just a moment, it felt as though the world around them faded, and the reality of their struggles melted away like ice cream under the sun. "Look, it's the balloon man," she squealed, pointing at a man twisting balloons into whimsical shapes. Can we? Sure. Let us go check it out," he said, pushing his doubts aside, galvanizing his resolve to stay present. As they approached, the balloon man deftly crafted all sorts of shapes: a dog, a hat, a sword. Lily clapped her hands in delight, and Jake found himself laughing at her antics. This was the simple joy he had missed. "Dad," she exclaimed, pulling at his shirt. "Can I get the biggest one?" Jake nodded, heart swelling. "Sure, let me get that for you." When it was time to pay, he felt for the cash in his pocket, heart sinking when he only found a couple of crumpled bills. A flush of embarrassment crept up his neck. Lily, I might not have enough." But right then, Ruth was upon them, holding out a $10 bill with a confident smile. "Here, I got this one." "Thanks, Ruth," Jake said, grateful yet humbled. Her willingness to help felt like a lifeline thrown in turbulent waters. As Lily ran off to claim her balloon, Jake turned to Ruth, anxiety swirling inside him. "I'm trying. I want to be better. I need to be better for her." Ruth's expression softened, catching him off guard. "I know you do, but it takes time. Just don't expect everything to change overnight, Jake." The honesty in her voice pinched at his heart. "I won't let her down again. I promise," he insisted, newfound determination burning bright. Yet, in the back of his mind, the nagging fear remained. Could he truly hold onto this? Would he falter when it mattered most? The festival kept bustling around them. Laughter, voices, and music collided. A tapestry of life that felt both exhilarating and daunting. Each smile reminded Jake of the stakes, the inevitable moments of doubt that would hit hard when he wasn't at his best. It struck him then, amid the joy, that there was a long road ahead, filled with uncertain turns and unexpected challenges. But with every moment spent with Lily, every newfound smile, he felt a flicker of hope sparking within. And just as that hope started to form a solid foundation, he turned around to find Lily standing before him. She held her balloon like a trophy, but her expression was serious. "Dad, what do you do when you're scared?" she asked, her eyes deep and searching. His heart raced as he realized how profound this moment was. What could he say to offer her comfort, to prepare her for the uncertainties of life? Sometimes, he started, "you just have to remember that it's okay to feel scared. You're strong, and you can always talk to me. I'll always be here." Her gaze softened, but a spark of curiosity lingered, and that made his chest tighten. What if I'm scared of you?" she whispered quietly, pulling him into the swirl of their complicated past like a whisper of wind through tall grass. The words hit him like a freight train, and he realized in that moment, the real journey they faced had barely begun. How could he reassure her of his love? How could he show her he was worthy of trust? Jake took a deep breath, ready to confront the truth that lay ahead, even as the familiar tide of doubt began to churn within him anew. Jake stared at Lily, her small figure illuminated by the vibrant colors of the festival, and all he could feel was the weight of her question pressing on him. It was as if time itself had stilled, the laughter and music muted into a distant hum. He swallowed hard, searching for the right words to untangle the knot forming in his chest. "Lily," he began, struggling to keep his voice steady, "I know I've made mistakes. I've let you down, and you have every reason to feel scared. But I promise I'm working on being better. I want you to feel safe with me." She seemed to process his words, her deep blue eyes searching his face for honesty, for reassurance. But the shadows of doubt lingered between them, thick and heavy. He could feel his heart racing, the fear of abandonment creeping in again, the fear that he might never fully break free from the past. "I remember how scared I felt when I thought you didn't want me anymore," she said softly, clutching her balloon like a lifeline. "But today feels different." His heart warmed at her honesty. "It is different. This is a new beginning, Lily. A chance for us two to build something together. Can we try?" She nodded slowly, a flicker of hope dancing across her face. "Okay," she whispered, and in that simple word, Jake found a sliver of light cutting through the fog. "But there is something I need to tell you," she continued, her gaze dropping to the ground. "I heard Mom talking about how you almost didn't come back. That really scared me, Dad." The revelation hit him like a punch. He thought he had shielded her from the more painful truths about his deployments. But here she was, braving the reality of his absence. It broke something inside him. He knelt down to her level, wanting to bridge the distance that had formed without him realizing it. "I'm so sorry you had to hear that," he said, reaching for her hands. "I promise I will always come back to you. You and me, we're a team, okay? No matter what. You're my everything." Her lips curled into a hesitant smile, the fear in her eyes beginning to ease. He could feel a bit of the weight lifting. Just then, the crowd erupted in excitement as a magician began performing tricks nearby, drawing everyone's attention. Lily's face lit up, her earlier fears momentarily forgotten, and he couldn't help but grin at her joy. "Can we go watch?" She bounced on her toes, her spirit reigniting like a flame. "Absolutely," Jake chuckled. They walked towards the gathering crowd, and with every step he took beside her, he felt a renewed determination. He wanted to protect this moment, to safeguard her laugh and that sweet trust blooming between them. They found a spot on the grass and sat, the magician's tricks captivating their attention as laughter erupted again. Jake watched Lily, her eyes wide with wonder, and for the first time, he felt warmth spreading through his veins. But even in this blissful moment, doubt pinched at the edges of his joy as the show continued. Jake felt a twinge of that old anxiety creeping back. Was he doing enough? Would this happiness last? Just as he began to spiral, Lily turned to him, her mouth twitching into a smirk. "Dad, do you think I could learn to do magic too?" He chuckled. "Of course. You can be anything you want to be. But what if I mess up?" She whispered, the shadow of fear returning momentarily. "Then we'll practice together. We'll learn from the mess-ups. Magic takes time, just like building trust, right? You can be scared and you can still try. That's part of being brave." Lily contemplated this and nodded. But as Jake turned his gaze back to the magician, he felt the world crashing down on him again. What if this was all a facade? What if one day he messed up again and it all fell apart? The questions tumbled around in his mind, drowning out the laughter. His grip tightened on Lily's hand as he made a silent vow to keep trying, no matter how shaky the path ahead felt. He would fight against the fear that threatened to overwhelm him. Amidst the cheer of the festival, a faint whisper echoed in his mind. Would he ever be free from the shadows of his past? And just then, he noticed Ruth watching from a distance, her expression unreadable, yet somehow still full of unwavering support. Could he rely on her again, or would reopening that door lead him back into chaos? Jake took a deep breath and turned to Lily, gently squeezing her hand. I think we're going to be just fine, he started. But his voice trailed off. Yet with every uncertain step, the question loomed. Was it truly possible to overcome the shadows together? Or was he destined to let her down again? The magician's voice faded into the background as Jake grappled with his feelings. The crowd cheered as he pulled a rabbit out of a hat, laughing and clapping with the kind of joy that felt almost foreign to Jake right now. He was grateful for Lily's laughter, but beneath it all, a storm brewed, a mix of fear, guilt, and determination. Jake squinted into the chaos around them. The flickering lights of the festival mirrored the firestorm in his heart. He needed to stay present, to root himself in this moment with Lily. They shared a magical bond, one that could mend the fractures of their past, and yet, doubt lingered like a shadow. Can you show me how to do that? Lily pointed at the magician, her eyes sparkling. Her innocence made him smile, but inside, he felt a tightening in his chest. Sure, but it takes practice, he replied, keeping his voice steady. He needed her to understand that magic or anything in life wasn't perfect on the first try. I want to be just like him. I want to make people smile, she exclaimed, the balloon nearly escaping her grip in her excitement. Jake felt a wave of warmth, yet it also stung. Could he truly provide her with the support she needed to chase her dreams? Would he be there not just as a father but as a mentor? Lily turned back to the show, and for a moment he watched her. Each giggle of hers seemed louder than the one preceding it, creating a symphony of innocence. In that instant he knew he couldn't falter. He had to be the father she deserved. As the magic show wrapped up, applause filled the air, and the crowd began to disperse. Jake took Lily's hand, his fingers entwined with hers, and led her toward the food stalls. How about some cotton candy? He asked, a genuine grin spreading across his face. Oh yes, please, she squealed, as if he had just promised her the world. The pure joy radiating from her was intoxicating. When they reached the stall, Jake ordered 2 fluffy cones. As the vendor handed them over, he caught sight of Ruth across the way again. She was smiling softly at the two of them, a sense of reassurance radiating from her presence. It made his heart flip. Was it too much to hope that things might return to how they used to be? Could he really let her back in, becoming a part of this healing journey? Here you go, he said, handing a cone to Lily. Don't let it go to waste. She took a big bite, sugar sticking to her cheeks as she chewed with glee. It was infectious, and Jake couldn't help but laugh, despite the doubt still bubbling beneath the surface. Dad, what do you think magic really is? She asked, her expression suddenly serious, autumn fairies dancing in her blue eyes. Jake hesitated. Well, I think magic is about bringing joy. It's about connection just like we have right now. Then maybe I can make magic at home, too? She suggested, looking hopeful. Absolutely. He felt the overwhelming urge to protect that spark in her, the hope that all magic could exist in their little world together. But he feared what awaited them outside the festival, where reality mingled with his insecurities. Let us make some magic at home, Jake said, his heart racing, and she nodded enthusiastically. But as they wandered through the festival, Jake's heart felt heavy again. How would he keep this magic alive when faced with the struggles lurking just around the corner? They ambled past games and rides, each one tugging at a memory, pulling him back to a past he struggled to shake loose. Hey, go try that ring toss, he said, hoping to deflect his swirling thoughts. She bounded off, her laughter chasing away the darkness, and Jake followed, wanting to be present, wanting her joy to drown out his fears. Yet as all those distractions swirled around him, one thought persisted: how could he keep their magic alive when shadows of the past continued to haunt him? Would the guilt ever truly fade? And then he spotted Ruth again. This time she was approaching them. Could this be the moment when everything changed? As she drew nearer, Jake's heart raced with anticipation. Would she offer him a lifeline? Or would her presence only deepen the struggle to open up? He held his breath, waiting for the answer that could redefine everything. Ruth stopped a few feet away, her gaze steady, yet soft. Jake felt a mix of emotions swirling inside him like a tempest. She looked good, maybe even more vibrant than he remembered. Her dark hair danced slightly with the breeze, glimmers of the festival lights reflecting off her. But beneath that, he could see the flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. "Hi, Jake," she said gently, her voice breaking through the clamor of the festival. "Hey, Ruth," he replied, feeling the weight of their shared history hanging between them. He wanted to greet her with warmth, to bridge the gap time and misunderstanding had created. But the words tangled in his throat. Lily, oblivious to the heaviness, jumped in. "Look, I got cotton candy, and it's huge." She held up her prize as if it were a trophy, her eyes wide with excitement. Ruth smiled at Lily, a genuine smile that lit up her face. "Wow, that looks amazing. Do you think I could have a bite?" Lily giggled, her innocence so powerful that it eased some of Jake's tension. "You gotta ask Dad first," she declared, looking back at Jake with a twinkle in her eye. Jake felt a rush of pride in Lilia's spirit, but his heart thudded at the reality of the moment. How could he play the perfect father while he felt so lost? "Sure, why not?" he managed, his voice shaky. "Just a little bite, though. Don't want to spoil your fun." As Ruth leaned down, Lily offered the fluffy treat like a small offering, and they shared a light moment, laughter blooming between them like wildflowers. Jake watched the way they interacted, and it freaked him out and thrilled him all at once. Was this how it could be? Simple joy, uncomplicated connection. But just beneath that surface, doubt curled around his heart. He had to face the truth, the endless complexities of their past. He began, unsure how to put it, thinking of going on some rides and playing games. Ruth straightened up, a flicker of something unreadable crossing her expression. "I'd love to join you," she suggested, her enthusiasm tinged with hope. Jake's heart raced at her suggestion, excitement mixing with anxiety. Could they be a family again? Could he let her back in? The thought terrified him, yet it felt like stepping into a warm embrace after a long, cold winter. "Really?" Lily beamed, her innocence lighting up the air around them. "You can come with us, Mommy." "Yeah, I'd really like that," Ruth confirmed, her smile growing wider as she looked at him and then back at Lily. Jake searched Ruth's eyes for any hint of what she might be feeling. "Okay, let us do it then," he said, shifting the weight of his uncertainties. He needed to stay focused on the moment, reminding himself that one day at a time was all he could handle as they moved toward the rides. The energy of the festival enveloped them. Lights danced around them, children laughed, and a sense of possibility filled the air. For a moment, everything felt manageable. But deep down, the specter of his past loomed large. Suddenly, Lily tugged at his hand, her excitement infectious. "Let us go on the Ferris wheel. It's so high, and we'll see everything." "All right, the Ferris wheel it is," Jake agreed, smiling down at her. But the thrill of the ride that awaited them couldn't drown out the concerns clouding his mind as they climbed into the gondola. Jake stole a glance at Ruth. Their eyes locked for a fragile moment, a silent understanding passing between them. But the question still lingered: would their journey together in this new chapter lead to healing or add more fractures to their already complex story? As the gondola creaked into motion, Jake breathed deep, feeling both the thrill of the heights and the depth of his uncertainty. Could this truly be a turning point when all he hungered for was to protect Lily's magic? Would they find their rhythm again, or would this ride push them closer to unraveling? The Ferris wheel began its slow ascent, the sounds of the festival fading into a distant hum. Jake felt the gentle sway of the gondola beneath him. He glanced at Lily, her face lit up with joy, and then at Ruth, who wore an expression that flickered between excitement and apprehension. "Look, Dad, we can see the whole fair from up here," Lily exclaimed, her voice filled with childlike wonder. Jake nodded, forcing a smile. "Yeah, it's amazing, just like you, kiddo." He pulled her closer, wishing he could bottle this moment of pure innocence. And yet, as they climbed higher, so did the weight of everything he hadn't said, everything he hadn't faced. Ruth's gaze was fixed on the horizon, the carnival lights twinkling like stars against the darkening sky. He could sense a storm brewing, not from the clouds, but from within their little trio. A wave of hesitation washed over him. If they didn't communicate, they could easily slip back into old patterns, old pain. Ruth, he started, letting the name hang between them, but she turned to meet his gaze, her expression shifting from wonder to caution. Jake, before she could finish, the gondola reached the peak, jostling slightly as it came to a halt. The view was breathtaking. The whole fair spread out beneath them like a colorful quilt, the laughter of children weaving through the air, and the carnival music rising and falling in harmonious chaos. For a moment, there was nothing but awe. Wow, look at all the lights. Lily breathed, her eyes sparkling like the stars above. Jake watched her, captivated. He felt a surge of hope. Maybe this could be a reset for them. He turned to Ruth, opening his mouth to speak, but found himself at a loss. But Ruth spoke first, her voice barely above a whisper. I miss this. This is what I've always wanted. He could see the sincerity in her eyes, the way her voice cracked with unfiltered emotion. It made his heart ache. Me too, he managed, feeling their history laced with hope and fear. Feels so big now, doesn't he? All those moments we lost, she continued, her gaze dropping, and all the little things that went unsaid. Jake wanted to reach out, to comfort her, but the space between them held the weight of unspoken words, of hurt that still stung. We can't just erase the past, he said, his voice steady yet filled with longing. But maybe we can build something new. Ruth took a deep breath, studying his face as if trying to decipher the truth behind his words. I want to try, Jake. For Lily. At that moment, joy bloomed inside him. The possibility was right there, like the bright lights of the fair below, a vivid, present reality. But as they began their descent, that same possibility twisted with doubt. Could they really rebuild? Or would the old fractures return, reminding them of pain hidden just beneath the surface? Lily's laughter pulled him from his thoughts, an anchor in the storm. That was awesome. Can we go again? As the gondola reached the ground, Jake's heart raced. He felt torn between pursuing this fresh start and protecting his daughter from the fragility he felt with Ruth. Their eyes met again, a tribal unspoken pact drifting between them. Yet he wondered if they'd ever be able to truly reconnect. Half of him was terrified to fall, and the other half ached for it. Let us find another ride, he said, putting on a brave face. But just as they stepped out of the gondola, he noticed Ruth hesitating behind him, as if she had more to say. Her expression shifted, revealing a shadow of uncertainty that made the back of his neck prick with unease. Jake, she started again, her voice catching. There's something I need to tell you. But before she could finish, a commotion erupted nearby, drawing Lily's attention away and leaving Jake's heart in suspension. What could Ruth possibly reveal that would change everything? As he turned, he felt the world around him shift once more. The thrilling highs of the fair now tinged with a thick vein of anxiety. Would this revelation bring them closer, or tear them apart again? Lily darted toward the source of the noise, her small hands clapping with delight. Look, Dad, they have a magic show, she squealed, eyes wide with excitement. Jake's heart sank just a little. He wanted to share this moment with Ruth, but she still lingered close to the gondola, her expression a mix of concern and determination. Jake, wait, Ruth said, her voice urgent as she caught up to him. He turned, preparing himself for what she might say. His gut twisted. She looked conflicted, as if she was about to share something that could change everything they'd just begun to navigate. There's something that happened last week with Lily, Ruth said, her eyes searching his for a hint of understanding, or maybe for a hint of forgiveness. Jake swallowed hard. What do you mean? He asked, bracing himself. The weight on his chest felt heavier than ever. I didn't want to tell you until now, but she was really upset about her birthday. Ruth's voice trembled, as though she were on the brink of something heartbreaking. I was just trying to make it special for her. But it didn't go as planned. What happened? He pressed gently, his protective instincts kicking in. Ruth took a deep breath, the festival lights casting shadows over her features. I planned a small party. Just some friends, cake, games, but she said it felt lonely. She told me she wished you were more involved. The weight of her words crashed into him, sending ripples of guilt through his heart. He had been so focused on the adult issues surrounding their estrangement, trying to fix things with Ruth, that he had overlooked how Lily must have felt lost in the middle. I didn't know. Jake's voice was quiet but resolute. I thought she was okay with things like this. She wants to see you, Jake. She misses you, but she also wants to see us together. I think she thinks we can fix everything if we just try, Ruth said, her eyes glistening in the fading light. Jake felt something shift inside him, a mix of hope and fear. I want that too. I've been trying, but I don't know how. Maybe we could talk to her. Together? Ruth suggested, her voice still charged with emotion. Right now? He asked, glancing at Lily, who was captivated by the magician's antics. She was laughing, her joy spilling over as she clapped her hands, mesmerized by the tricks. What if it goes wrong? What if she gets hurt again? Ruth took a step closer, her hand brushing against his arm, grounding him. If we don't tell her, she might think we're still not on the same page. We owe it to her to try. His heart raced. The thought of dismantling the walls they had both carefully built felt frightening. But the spark of courage ignited within him. Maybe it was time to confront the mess head-on. Their daughter needed both of them together more than ever. Okay, he finally said, his voice steadier, braver. Let us do it. Let us talk to her. Ruth nodded, and together they moved toward the makeshift stage where Lily was eagerly moving closer, entranced by a magician pulling a colorful rabbit out of a hat. As they approached, Lily turned and beamed at them, her smile radiant and pure. Did you see that? The rabbit just popped out of nowhere. Jake knelt down, taking her small hands in his. Hey, sweetheart, can we talk for a minute? Her eyes sparkled with innocence, yet underneath it, he detected a hint of wisdom. Is it about my birthday? She asked, her excitement subsiding slightly. Jake glanced at Ruth, uncertainty swirling in the pit of his stomach. He wasn't sure how to navigate the conversation, but for Lily, he was willing to try. Yes, it is, and we both want to understand. He started, feeling the weight of their words settle over them like a thick fog. As he began to speak, Jake realized that this moment would define them all in ways they couldn't yet understand. Alone, they had stumbled. Together, they might just find a way to be whole again. But as he opened up, a distant sound, a yell sharp and frantic, cut through the festival atmosphere, causing his heart to panic anew. What was happening now? Dad? Is that a fire? Lily shrieked, pointing, her joy snapped by confusion. Jake's blood ran cold. Whatever the truth was that would bring them together, it was now overshadowed by an unexpected threat. Would their fragile connections hold up under pressure? Could they face this chaos as a family? The air thickened with panic as Jake turned his head, spotting smoke rising from a nearby food stall. It billowed into the colorful sky like a storm cloud, reflecting chaos against the joyful backdrop of the festival. The laughter and screams shifted into a cacophony of alarm. Jake's heart raced. Stay close, he shouted, instinctively wrapping his arm around Lily's shoulders, drawing her into his side. She clutched her cotton candy, fear painting her small face. Ruth was already scanning the crowd, her protective instincts kicking in. We have to make sure everyone is okay, she cried. Jake felt a surge of determination flood through him, overshadowing his anxieties. This was not just about him anymore. They had to act. Lily, can you help us? We need to guide people away from the smoke, he said, his voice steady despite the rapid beat of his heart. Her eyes were wide, but she nodded. Okay. Together, they moved as a team, weaving through the throng of people who were starting to panic. Everyone this way. Follow us, Ruth called out, her voice cutting through the chaos. With Jake leading and both women at his side, he could feel the connection pulsing as they worked for a common goal. Amidst the fear, Jake looked down at Lily, who was surprisingly calm, her presence reminding him of the commitment they'd made to one another moments before. "You're so brave," he whispered, squeezing her hand. She smiled up at him, the trust in her eyes reigniting that spark of hope he desperately needed. They reached an exit point where a few townspeople stood outside, bewildered. "Help is on the way," Ruth reassured them. "Just stay calm. Move away from the smoke." Jake's voice boomed, infusing note of confidence that dispelled some of the terror. Just then, the unmistakable sound of sirens pierced through the murmurs of fear, a signal of help arriving. The firemen rushed in, their uniforms bright against the backdrop of chaos, quickly assessing the situation. Jake felt a wave of relief wash over him as the professionals took charge, their focused energy calming the crowd. And then he looked at Ruth, who stood beside him, her eyes bright with a mix of gratitude and fear. "We did this. We worked together," he breathed, watching a shared smile pass between them. It wasn't just about containing the fire. It was about realizing that they could rise to the challenges of parenting together for Lily. Lily tugged at his shirt, pulling his attention back down. "Dad," she said, her voice steady despite the panic that had just swept through them. "Can I ask you something? That was really scary, right?" Jake leaned closer, kneeling down to her level. "Yeah, it was, but we did it together. Whenever something feels scary, remember you're never alone," he said, the truth pouring out of him. He could see the glimmer of understanding in her eyes. "And I promise I'll be here. Always." Just then, the fire was mostly under control, and the community began to settle around them once more. The vibrant colors of the festival flickered back to life, albeit tinged now with the reminder of chaos they had just faced. Ruth knelt next to Lily, her expression softening. "Sweetheart," she said, her voice gentle, "you were so brave during all that chaos. I'm really proud of you." Lily's eyes sparkled, and she beamed. "I think we should have a party when the fair is back. A real one with everyone there," she exclaimed, her earlier fears replaced by budding excitement. Jake shared a look with Ruth, understanding was illuminated between them. "I think that's a great idea," he replied, "and we can make it a family affair." Lily clapped her hands. "Like a real family," she chirped, intoxicating joy sparking a powerful bond among them, a glue that promised new beginnings. As they stood under the festival lights, all settling back into place, Jake felt something shift within him. Forgiveness surrounded them, mingling with laughter, community spirit reigniting the air. Yes, the road ahead would have bumps and challenges, but they now had something to guide them back each other. "Let us shake off the last of the fear, yeah?" Jake said, nudging his daughter playfully. "We're not just going to survive this, we're going to be better than before." Ruth nodded in agreement, taking his hand and Lily's. Together, she reiterated softly, eyes bright with hope, with an electric sense of unity igniting within them. They started to walk back toward the heart of the festival, toward the laughter of the crowd and the joyful sounds echoing around them once more. Trust renewed, banishing the shadows of doubt. And at that moment, Jake knew that while they each had their battles to overcome, love and connection would always light the way forward. This was just the beginning. Now, as you connect to the heartwarming resolution, join this journey and support it. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next transformative stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others find this emotional journey. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. We want to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. True fans know the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.